Namaste. In today's video, we will be learning about the DNA replication. The DNA undergoes two important processes, that is autocatalysis and heterocatalysis. In autocatalysis, there is production of a new DNA from DNA itself. That is nothing but the process of replication. Right? So from the word itself we can understand. Auto means it will be self-replicating. So in this, from a double helical model of DNA, we will be getting two more double helical daughter DNAs. Okay? So now coming to the other process, that is nothing but heterocatalysis. In heterocatalysis, you have the production of RNA from DNA. This process is basically called as transcription. Yes? Okay, so it is called as transcription. So here what happens is that RNA molecule is produced by the help of this DNA. So in this particular segment, we will be learning mostly about the replication process, that is nothing but the autocatalysis. Now, the replication of DNA is a very complex process and it involves different types of enzymes. So, today we will be learning about the different enzymes and how they actually work, what is their function. Okay? So, here are the enzymes that are actually required for the process of DNA replications. The first one is helicase enzyme. We know that the DNA is a double helical model. Yes, it is a double helical model and it is highly coiled state. Yes, it is in a highly coiled state. Now, for the process of replication to take place, for the daughter DNA to be produced, this highly coiled structure should unwind. Yes, so for that particular process, this helicase actually helps. So it helps in the opening of that particular helix, right? Okay, so if we just imagine this as the helix, then it has to open down. Now we also know that this two strands of polynucleotide chains are actually joined by hydrogen bonds, right? They are joined by the hydrogen bonds. So for this process of opening of the double helical model of DNA, or rather you can say unwinding process, right? The unwinding process to take place, these hydrogen bonds have to be broken down. So this helicase enzyme basically breaks the hydrogen bonds, right? Okay, so because of the breakage of the hydrogen bonds, this actually causes the unwinding of these two polynucleotide chains. Okay, now coming to the next enzyme, that is called as a topoisomerase. Now this enzyme is very important because now if we just imagine a winded thread like this, very highly coiled thread like this. Okay, just imagine there are two ropes in this. Now if I just try to unwind it, it just unwinds, and then in between if I just try to give a gap, it tries to come back, recoil once again. Yes, because of the tension which is there in this. In the same way, in DNA also, there is a tension in the polynucleotide strands. So this tension is released by this topoisomerase. So the topoisomerase enzyme, it helps in release of the tension present on these polynucleotide chains. Now what it actually does? Now, as I was telling you that this is the helical model. Yes, just imagine this is a helical model. Now what we are doing, we are actually separating them. Yes, by the help of this helicase enzyme. Now there is already tension. So there is a chance for them to recoil once again because of the tension. So what this topoisomerase actually does is that it actually, after the unwinding process, what it does is to release this tension, it actually cuts that particular part of the polynucleotide chain and it twists once again to release the tension and joins it. Understood? So it basically cuts, twists and then reseals this particular polynucleotide chain in order to release the tension. And this is also the sealing, the resealing is done by the next enzyme, that is nothing but the ligase. This helps in the joining of the nucleotides. Okay, this helps in the joining of the nucleotides. So other than this, not only it helps the topoisomerase to reseal the the polynucleotide chains, but also in the further process of replication, there are some fragments of the DNA chains, daughter DNA chains, wherein there are some gaps, right? So these chains also have to be joined together. So in that process also, this ligase helps in the rejoining of the nucleotides. So that we will be learning in the further of this particular video. Now coming to the next enzyme. Now there is each and every chance, of this particular chain to wind once again. So there is one particular enzyme which is called as single-stranded stabilizing enzyme. This is mainly, it avoids the stress present in that particular polynucleotide chains. So it gives a stability to the unwounded polynucleotide chains. Okay. Now, during this particular process, at the initiation of this replication process, what happens is that there is a small chain of RNA nucleotides which are actually present, and that complex is called as a primer. Understood? So this is actually called as RNA, a few small segments of RNA, those are nothing but called as a primer. Now, this enzyme primase helps in the synthesis of this primer. Always the primer attaches first, and to that the nucleotides are attached. Understood? So this primase enzyme, it helps in the synthesis of this primer. Primer is nothing but a small segment of RNA nucleotides. Yes? Okay. Now, basically this is nothing but an RNA polymerase enzyme, but it is dependent on, or it is controlled by DNA itself. That is why it is, the primase is also called as DNA dependent RNA polymerase. Understood? The primase is also called as DNA dependent RNA polymerase, right? Okay. Now coming to the next enzyme, that is nothing but DNA polymerase 1. This DNA polymerase 1, it helps in the filling of the gaps. As I have told you earlier that there are some fragments of daughter DNA which are formed in between the process of replication. Now all this daughter DNA have got this RNA primer over there just in front of them. So later what happens is that this RNA primer which is there, okay, So just imagine this is the primer, okay. This is the primer, okay. And then here the nucleotides keep on joining, okay. So like this, the fragments of daughter DNA are actually are formed during the replication process. Okay, so later what happens is that there is no requirement of this RNA primer. Okay, now here this gap is left out. Yes, so these gaps are actually filled up by this DNA polymerase 1. So it actually helps in filling the gaps which are present in that particular DNA fragments, daughter DNA fragments, right? So here the DNA polymerase actually helps in filling gaps in the daughter DNA, right? Okay. Now here comes one very important enzyme. Now children, all these enzymes, the helicase, topoisomerase, ligase and single-stranded stabilizing protein or the enzyme, the primase and DNA polymerase 1. All these enzymes, they actually help in the process of the replication process, right? Okay, so here what happens is that this DNA polymerase 1 is the enzyme which is actually participating in the process of replication. All these enzymes, they just help in the process of replication, but this is the one which actually participates in the process of replication. Now this is a very complex enzyme. DNA polymerase 3 is a complex enzyme and it actually has got 3 important subunits. The first subunit is called as the alpha subunit. The second subunit is called as the epsilon subunit and the next subunit is called as the beta 2 subunit. So we have the RNA polymerase 3 enzyme is a very complex enzyme. It has got 3 important subunits, that is alpha subunit, epsilon subunit and beta 2 subunit. The alpha subunit has got a catalytic property. Catalytic property. That means it helps in fastening the process. That is, it helps in formation of bonds. Okay, so that is how it alpha subunit actually helps. Now coming to epsilon subunit, this helps in proofreading. So anywhere some nucleotides are X's or proper coding has not been done, then this particular epsilon subunit, it actually proofreads and tries to correct it. Okay, and then coming to the beta subunit. This subunit is actually helping the whole unit of RNA polymerase 3 and to act as for proper sliding process. Okay, now for example, the unwinding of the DNA helix has taken place, right? The unwinding of this DNA helix has taken place. Okay, now the primer is formed and all those. Now this particular DNA polymerase, what it does is the beta 2 subunit helps in clinging this particular the replication fork over here like this, and it slides all through the length of this particular DNA. So there you have this, that is a function of this particular beta 2 subunit. It acts as a sliding clamp for the DNA polymerase to continue the process of this replication. Now, this is a very interesting enzyme. As the DNA polymerase, think this 3 are the units, subunits. Okay, now this is actually clinging to this. Yes, okay. Now it goes all through the length of this particular polynucleotide chains. Okay, that is the parent DNA. So here when it is going, it is sliding all through the length, it is allowing the replication of both the strands. It is allowing the replication of both the strands, and ultimately one daughter DNA is formed over here and another part of the daughter DNA is formed over here. So both the chains are allowed to replicate because of this sliding process. Understood? So that is the reason why DNA polymerase enzyme is also called as a dimer. This is very important. Okay. Now coming to the next enzyme, that is nothing but phosphorylase. So this is the enzyme. By the word itself you can understand. Phosphorylase is the one which adds phosphate groups. Understood? Okay. So basically the nucleotides, they are available as AMP. Yes, this is nothing but adenosine monophosphate. Okay, right? So if one more phosphate is added to this, right, then what happens? We get ADP. This is nothing but adenosine diphosphate. Okay, so AMP is nothing but adenosine monophosphate. When we add a phosphate in the presence of this enzyme phosphorylase, it becomes ADP. And then when one more phosphate is added in the presence of this enzyme phosphorylase, okay, we get ATP. ATP is nothing but adenosine triphosphate. So here, because of the presence of this phosphorylase enzyme, phosphates get added up. Now what is the main thing? Here these two molecules are comparatively inactive. Yes, okay. So here the monophosphates are inactive, whereas the triphosphates are active. Understood? Okay. So that is the reason why we require phosphorylase. Okay. So in the same way, it converts the GMP, that is guanosine monophosphate, to GTP, guanosine triphosphate. In the same way, we have cytosine monophosphate getting converted into cytosine triphosphate. Thymidine monophosphate getting converted into TTP, that is nothing but thymidine triphosphate, in the presence of this phosphorylase enzymes. So it actually converts the inactive monophosphates into active triphosphates. Okay. So now coming to the last enzyme, that is nothing but the nuclease. Nuclease enzyme is also helpful in proofreading. So ultimately in this whole process of replication, we have this proofreading done twice. One over here in the presence of this DNA polymerase 3 and also the nuclease enzyme. At the end of the process also we have the proofreading. So any correction can be made even at the last minute, just before the completion of replication. So now coming to the summary of the enzymes that are required for the DNA replication. So helicase actually helps in opening or unwinding of the parent DNA by breaking down the hydrogen bonds. And then we have topoisomerase, which helps in the release of tension. And then the ligase enzyme, which helps in joining of the nucleotides. And then you have the stabilizing enzyme or the protein, which is actually helping in release of the stress from the unwounded polynucleotide chains. And then we have the primase enzyme, which helps in the synthesis of primer. This primase enzyme is nothing but the RNA polymerase enzyme, as it is dependent on DNA, controlled by DNA. It is also called as DNA dependent RNA polymerase. Then we have this DNA polymerase 1, which actually fills in the gaps of when the daughter DNAs are actually
formed. And then coming to the very important enzyme which actually participates in the process of replication, that is nothing but the DNA polymerase 3. So this DNA polymerase 3, as we have discussed, it is having 3 subunits, that is the alpha, epsilon and beta 2 subunits. So you have this catalytic property which is shown by the alpha subunit, and then beta 2 you have, it acts as a sliding clamp, and so that the DNA polymerase 3 can actually cling to that the parent DNA and then helps in the process of replication. And then the epsilon subunit, it acts as a proofreading subunit. And we also have phosphorylases which adds up the phosphates. The inactive monophosphates are converted into active triphosphates, and then the second time proofreading is also done at the end of the replication process, that is nothing but the nuclease enzyme helps in that particular proofreading process of replication. So this is about the enzymes that are required for DNA replication. So next we will be learning about the different steps that are actually present or takes place in the process of DNA replication.